Every life tells a story. Join Frank Julian as he shares his one chapter at a time from Story of a Soul 2, releasing every Wednesday.
The Story of a Soul 2 by Frank Julian with Sean O'Neill, narrated by Frank Julian. Chapter 13, Life in the Spirit, Prayer Meetings, Teaching, and Fellowship. On returning to Grand Valley for my senior year of nursing school, Peggy and I had a long talk. We now knew that we were heading toward a serious relationship. She gave up being a nun more easily than I gave up being a priest. We studied hard that year while maintaining a focus on academics, but socially it wasn't long before acquaintance at school knew that we were a couple. We had all kinds of friends and brought them into our prayer meeting world. We joined the Christian Nurses Fellowship and encouraged our classmates into the Christian faith. Peggy threw me a surprise birthday party, and all of our friends came. She gave me my first journal at that time, and I've been journaling for over 40 years since then. I would look at the volume of journals piling up, and after several years I began to think, someday they'll write my story. Recently, as I was in a deep study of the Psalms, God told me, drawing from Psalm 89, verse 1, that my story would be told to the generations. Revelations 12:11 says that we overcome the accuser by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So that is why I'm writing this biography, in fact. As my memories flash back to that surprise birthday party, I recall that my roommate Mike was telling people who were there that if any two people were meant to be for each other, it's Peggy and Frank. Mike seemed to like announcing that same line to anyone and everyone. The guests had given me a present, but they said that first I had to go on a scavenger hunt. I kept reading the clues that led me to the present. At the end, I found a car key. Peggy had a 1974 Pinto, and I had a 1970 Mercury Comet. I looked at the key and went to my car and proceeded to open the door. As I opened the door, there was no present. Everybody started screaming. They sent me to Peggy's car with the same key. I opened the door, finding the present. We had one key for two completely different cars. That worked out great after we were married. I ended up finishing my nursing program and passing my state board exams. But something very strange happened again. I can't see the Holy Spirit, but I surely can see when he moves. Before I returned home for the summer, I was told about this guy named Mike who had returned home from California. He was part of the West Catholic Prayer Group. I just knew that I had to meet him before I returned to Detroit. I had an encounter that would change my life. Supernatural answers to prayer were happening all around me. In retrospect, I was being primed by the Lord. When I had come home for spring break, that previous March, my car broke down just outside of Grand Rapids near Lake Odessa. I said, Lord, you said that you'd help me in time of need. Help! Immediately, this guy pulled over and offered to help. I was cautious, yet I had prayed and didn't want to reject a possible answer to those prayers. He told me that he was laid off from work and could drive me home to Dearborn. It was Wednesday, and I really wanted to get home for the prayer meeting at St. Mary Magdalene's. I let him help me. After my car was picked up, he drove me home. I stayed close to the passenger side door in case I had to open and roll out. I talked about Jesus the whole time. I thought, if he's going to kill me, he's going to hear about Jesus. Finally, he opened up and startled me. He said, do you want to know why I picked you up? I silently shook my head to answer no. He said that he was recuperating from open heart surgery and that during the surgery he had died on the table. He told me that he had an out-of-body experience and saw Jesus. He told him that he was to return to his earthly life in order to help people. When he saw me, he said it was his opportunity to help. When we got to my mother's house, he came in, and I told his story. My mother gave him gas money, and I testified at the prayer meeting that night. To this day, I still wonder whether he was an angel. Let's not stray too far, though. From my meeting with Mike from California, he was in school at the Melody Land School of Theology studying to be a pastor. I was spellbound as he talked, and I was taken into another realm. I knew I had to go there. It wasn't him. It was a vocation, a calling. I had the call, but now I truly heard the call. He told me that they didn't have housing and that I could not live with him. I said that I would pray about it. I went back to Grand Valley to my frequent prayer spot on the other side of the football stadium overlooking a cornfield. It was my old familiar afternoon meeting place with the Lord. Today was different. I went down into the cornfield. I was almost like I had a Jewish prayer shawl to cover me as I met with the Lord. The light was green, and I was singing, "California, Here I Come." I sang until I got home, and my mother found out about my plans. Peggy was on board. In fact, we were getting married the following summer and lived there together. My mother, though, was a different case. When I told her my plans, she lost it. As a parent now, I understand. She protested. "You worked so hard to become a nurse, and you're going to leave all that behind?" I tried to explain that nursing would help me in the ministry. Her reply, "But you don't know anyone in California."
Thank you for listening. Join Frank Julian every Wednesday for a new chapter of Story of a Soul 2. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter.